Now he's claiming he doesn't understand, that he was forced to leave, that they kicked him out, which basically translates to the Queen forced us out. The Queen kicked us out. The Queen is racist because the Queen kicked us out because Meghan is 1/10 black.
What? What? Hold up. Oh, hold up. Wait a minute. Wow. Oh.
After many months of reflection and internal discussions, we have chosen to make a transition this year in starting to carve out a progressive new role within this institution. We intend to step back as senior quotation marks members of the royal family and work to become financially independent while continuing to fully support Her Majesty the Queen. It is with your encouragement, particularly over the last few years, that we feel prepared to make this adjustment. We now plan to balance our time between the United Kingdom and North America, continuing to honor our duty to the Queen, the Commonwealth, and our patronages. This geographic balance will enable us to raise our son with an appreciation for the royal tradition into which he was born, while also providing our family with the space to focus on the next chapter, including the launch of our new charitable entity. We look forward to sharing the full details of this exciting step in due course as we continue to collaborate with Her Majesty the Queen, the Prince of Wales, the Duke of Cambridge, and all relevant parties. Until then, please accept our deepest thanks for your continued support.
Prince, how you were trapped.
Trapped within the system, like the rest of my family are. My father and my brother, they are trapped. They don't get to leave.
SussexRoyal.com was created as a source of factual information regarding the work streams of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Through this website, you will find the key information about their commitment to community, the monarchy, and the Commonwealth, as well as answers to many questions. This information can be found on the following pages: funding and media.
I don't want to sit around at Windsor because I just generally don't like England that much.
Home for me now is for the time being, it's in the States. And it feels that way as well.
Does it?
Yeah.
Now, this is what Harry and Meghan had to say according to what they thought would be their scenario upon leaving the royal family as working members. This is from their website directly, as you can see, SussexRoyal.com. Spring 2020 transition. We are pleased to now be able to share with you an update on many of the details agreed at a meeting of the royal family in January 2020, which outlines the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's new roles, taking effect spring 2020. We had hoped to be allowed to share these details with you sooner to mitigate any confusion and subsequent misreporting. But the facts below should help provide some clarification around this transition and the steps for the future. As agreed and set out in January 2020, it is agreed that the commencement of the revised role of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex will take effect spring 2020 and undergo a 12-month review. The royal family respect and understand the wish of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex to live a more independent life as a family by removing the supposed public interest justification for media intrusion into their lives. They remain a valued part of Her Majesty's family. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex will become privately funded members of the royal family with permission to earn their own income and the ability to pursue their own private charitable interests. The preference of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex was to continue to represent and support Her Majesty the Queen, albeit in a more limited capacity while not drawing on the sovereign grant. While there is precedent for other titled members of the royal family to seek employment outside of the institution for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, a 12-month review period has been put in place. They want to make sure that people know that they are being singled out. Per the agreement, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex understand that they are required to step back from royal duties and not undertake representative duties on behalf of Her Majesty the Queen. As agreed and set out in January, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex will retain their HRH prefix, thereby formally remaining known as His Royal Highness the Duke of Sussex and Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex will no longer actively use their HRH titles, as they will no longer be working members of the of the family as of spring 2020. As the grandson of Her Majesty and second son of the Prince of Wales, Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, remains sixth in line to the throne of the British monarchy, and the order of precedence is unchanged. This is Meghan's way. This is absolutely all Meghan, because Meghan, we know that Meghan loves to be ranked. She's reminding everybody that he's the grandson of the monarch, he's the second son of the Prince of Wales, now the king, and he's still in the line of succession, come what may. It is agreed that the Duke and Duchess will no longer be able to formally carry out official duties, quotation marks, red alert, for the Queen or represent the Commonwealth, but they will, however, be allowed to maintain, they made a mistake in there, maintaining, that's wrong, their patronages, including those that are classified as royal patronages. It is agreed that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex will continue to require effective security to protect them and their son. This is based on the Duke's public profile by virtue of being born into the royal family, his military service, the Duchess' own independent profile, and the shared threat and risk level documented specifically over the last few years. No further details can be shared, as this is classified information for safety reasons. In relation to the military, the Duke of Sussex will retain the rank of major and honorary ranks of lieutenant commander and squadron leader. During this 12-month period of review, the Duke's officials' military appointments will not be used, as they are in the gift of the sovereign. No new appointments will be made to fill these roles before the 12-month review of the new arrangement is completed. While per agreement, the Duke will not perform any official duties associated with these roles, given his dedication to the military community and 10 years of service, he will, of course, continue his unwavering support to the military community in a non-official capacity. As founder of the Invictus Games, the Duke will proudly continue supporting the military community around the world through the Invictus Games Foundation and the Endeavor Fund. We know that the Endeavor Fund is gone now. Based on the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's desire to have a reduced role as members of the royal family, it was decided in January that their institutional office would have to be closed, given the primary funding mechanism for this official office at Buckingham Palace is from HRH, the Prince of Wales. The Duke and Duchess shared this news with their team personally in January once they knew of the decision, and have worked closely with their staff to ensure smooth transition for each of them. They were all bullied. What are we going on here? Are we drinking crazy pills here? Over the last month and a half, the Duke and Duchess have remained actively involved in the process, which has understandably been saddening for the Duke and Duchess and their loyal staff. The loyal staff, I think, threw a party when they left. given the closeness of their Royal Highnesses and their dedicated team. Wasn't there a bullying investigation that, of course, the royal family will never disclose? As the Duke and Duchess will no longer be considered full-time working members of the royal family, and listen to the word full-time. I have done video after video after video about this particular wording, that they are not senior working members. We have a bunch of non-senior members in the royal website who are working members of the royal family because they're on the website and they're like 40th in line to the throne. So being a working royal has nothing to do with how close you are to the king in the line of succession. But the wording I've been talking about is being a senior royal and a working royal is a completely different thing. So here, and also, this also was said in the Queen's statement, that they will no longer be considered full-time working members of the royal family. It was agreed that the use of the word royal would need to be reviewed as it pertains to organizations associated with them in this new regard. More details on this below. Additional details. As shared in early January on this website, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex do not plan to start a foundation, quotation marks, but rather intend to develop a new way to effect change and complement the efforts made by so many excellent foundations globally. We knew that was bullshit. That's why we have Archwell. The creation of this non-profit entity will be an addition to their cause-driven work that they remain deeply committed to. While the Duke and Duchess are focused on plans to establish a new non-profit organization, given the specific UK government rules surrounding use of the word royal, it has been therefore agreed that their non-profit organization will not use the name Sussex Royal or any other iteration of royal. For the above reason, the trademark applications that had been filed as protective measures and that reflected the same standard trademarking request as done for the Royal Foundation and of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge have been removed. This is a way of Meghan Markle saying that we are being singled out. They are allowing William and Catherine to do this, but we are being discriminated. While there's not any jurisdiction by the monarchy or cabinet office over the use of the word royal overseas, this is Meghan Markle, who claims she doesn't want to be ranked, that she hates the royal family, that the royal family are white supremacists, colonialists. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex do not intend to use Sussex Royal or any iteration of the word royal in any territory, either within the UK or otherwise, when the transition occurs spring 2020. We know that that's not true because they have used it right now, recently at the hockey game. As the Duke and Duchess of Sussex continue to develop their non-profit organization and plan for their future, we hope that you use this site as the source for factual information in spring 2020. Their digital channels will be refreshed as they introduce the new exciting phase to you. The new exciting phase was when they moved abroad.
Now, Harry and Meghan have the ability to persuade themselves that what is convenient is true. What do I mean by that? For example, if it is convenient for Harry to say, because of racism, Meghan Markle and I are not the next in line to the throne, or we don't have the same privileges, he will use that, whether it's factual or not.
Now, this is the Queen's statement that she issued when they did the Sandringham Summit. Today, my family had very constructive discussions on the future of my grandson and his family. My family and I are entirely supportive of Harry and Meghan's desire to create a new life as a young family. Although we would have preferred them to remain, and here's the word that I don't like, full-time working members of the royal family. Why put the word full-time in there? I've been saying this for about a year and a half now. Although we would have preferred them to remain full-time working members of the royal family, we respect and understand their wish to live a more independent life as a family while remaining a valued part of the family. Harry and Meghan have made clear that they do not want to be reliant on public funds in their new lives. It has therefore been agreed that there will be a period of transition in which the Sussexes will spend time in Canada and the UK. Now, Harry says that he had to leave Canada because they found where he was living in the paparazzi found out that was a lie. Their goal was always California. Please go watch my earlier videos of about 2.5 years ago when this whole thing started. And I said that this is why my Twitter account was canceled. And I got a lot of death threats. Excuse me. Because even before they left, even before anybody was, I said that they had reached an agreement to do an Oprah interview and I was called a liar. Where are your sources? Who's telling you that? And that they were going to leave for California. But anyway, let's go. This is what the Queen is saying because this is what she was told. But let's face it, the Queen knew. They knew because Meghan had already applied for the visa for Harry. And of course, the Queen was head of the MI6, MI5. These are complex matters for my family to resolve. And there is some more work to be done. But I have asked for final decisions to be reached in the coming days. And this, beautiful people, is how Her Majesty the Queen put the nail in the coffin for Harry and his skanky wife, Meghan Markle. Statement from Her Majesty the Queen, published 18th January 2020. Following many months of conversations and more recent discussions, I am pleased that together we have found a constructive and supportive way forward for my grandson and his family. Harry, Meghan, and Archie will always be much loved members of my family. I recognize the challenges they have experienced as a result of intense scrutiny over the last 2 years and support their wish for a more independent life. I want to thank them for all their dedicated work across this country, the Commonwealth, and beyond, and I'm particularly proud of how Meghan has so quickly become one of the family. It is my whole family's hope that today's agreement allows them to start building a happy and peaceful new life. And then we have this statement from Buckingham Palace, which is a harder line. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex, the Duke and Duchess of Skank, are grateful to Her Majesty and the royal family for their ongoing support as they embark on their new chapter of their lives. As agreed in this new agreement, they understand that they are required to step back. And the word that is very important here is understand. They understand that they are required to step back from royal duties, including official military appointments. They will no longer receive public funds for royal duties. With the Queen's blessing, the Sussexes will continue to maintain their private patronages and associations. While they can no longer formally represent the Queen, the Sussexes have made clear that everything they do will continue to uphold the values of Her Majesty. The Sussexes will not use their HRH titles and they're no longer working members of the royal family. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex have shared their wish to repay sovereign grant expenditure for the refurbishment of Frogmore Cottage, which will remain their UK family home. Buckingham Palace does not comment on the details of security arrangements. These are all well-established, independent processes to determine the need for publicly funded security. This new model will take effect in the spring of 2020. And beautiful people, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Please buy the merch. I have exclusive Christmas merch, which is really beautiful. Go check it out because it's really beautiful. So why did I just say all of that? Why did I go through the entire Sussex thing? because it's very important we don't forget. Harry's having buyer's remorse. He's now stating in his claim, in his lawsuit against Ravik, which is the organization, the security body that determines, with all the intelligence they have, whether Harry and Meghan deserve to have publicly funded security. Now he's saying that they were forced to leave. I have been leaving little snippets here of how Harry earlier on declared that he did not like the UK. You know, when he said at the CBS thing that, you know, that now the USA was his home. The Freedom Flight, oh my God. How he said in the Oprah that Charles and William were trapped in that institution. So now he's saying he was forced to leave the UK, that he was given no choice, that he didn't understand the ramifications of his acts, of his actions, that he didn't understand the consequences of his poor choices. What we're seeing now is that the UK court is allowing an idiot, an entitled idiot, because he has a rank inside a monarchy, to misuse and abuse the court system in the United Kingdom at the expense of the taxpayers. Because this little pickle, it's really expensive for the UK taxpayer. I think it's up to £1 million right now. And the judge is still allowing this horseshit to go through. For some reason, this is ongoing. He even has to think about it. Harry has special security, beautiful people. He just has to give 28 days notice so the police can assign, determine, and decide whether or not police security, you know, like a police officer can be assigned to him or not. They assess the threat level that for Harry's visit. Because if he wants to fart around and go to Soho House and visit his pals, why should the UK pay for his security? Why? But this is being allowed. Now he's claiming he doesn't understand that he was forced to leave, that they kicked him out, which basically translates to the Queen forced us out. The Queen kicked us out. The Queen is racist because the Queen kicked us out because Meghan is 1/10 black. That's what Harry's saying, because who was in charge of all of this when they left? Her Majesty, the Queen, was in charge of all of that. Is that why Harry attacked the Queen so badly and trashed the Commonwealth as a colonialism 2.0? I mean, is that why he did it? The Queen made us leave. The Queen forced us to leave. This racist Queen made us leave. It wasn't my choice. I didn't understand. What we're seeing here is that he's angry that his poor choices had dire consequences, and he doesn't like not living with those consequences. And what's really funny is also they put out a statement saying, well, even if it's granted security, he's not going to come back to the UK. So if that is the case, why the hell is he suing the UK taxpayers, the government? Why is it costing the UK people so much money? Because they just put out a statement. Well, even because sources close to the Sussexes, also known as Rachel Meghan Raglan and Henry Mountbatten Windsor, or Harry Raglan, put a statement saying, well, even if they win it, they're not going to come back here anyways. So why do it? So now Harry's blurting to everybody that the UK is my home. I've never said that the US was my home. The UK has always been my home. I want to have Archie here. I want to have Lily here. They're not safe. The UK is my home. I like the UK. I love my UK. I didn't want to leave the royal family, who's a colonialist and white supremacist racist institution. I wonder How much gaslighting are people going to put up with these two fucking assholes? And I'm sorry I'm swearing. Why is the monarchy pandering to these two idiots? Why are the courts, the UK courts, pandering to these two idiots at the very costly expense of the UK taxpayers in anguish? Now we have, I'm just going to read this article very quickly because it came out just now, guys. And I want people to understand that there's a couple of things that are not right when we talk about Harry. It says here, Prince Harry loses battle to get Mail on Sunday libel defense thrown up. The court case that he has against the Mail on Sunday, the entire case has not been thrown out. What he wanted to be thrown out is this part of the defense, because basically, if this defense strategy was allowed, it's most likely he will lose the court case. Prince Harry has lost an attempt to get part of the Mail on Sunday publisher's defense thrown out in libel case. The Duke of Sussex has taken Associated Newspapers again to the High Court over a 2022 article about a battle over his UK security arrangements. The prince has said the story falsely suggested he had lied. The shock. I said at the beginning of this video, Harry and Meghan have the uncanny ability to use whatever convenient lies are out there to justify their behavior. If it is convenient, it's got to be true. So if that lie is convenient, that will be my truth. That's how Harry and Meghan operate. If that lie, that slander is convenient, that is my truth. And how dare you call us out for it? So the prince has said the story falsely suggested he had lied and cynically tried to manipulate public opinion. You think? But the judge said A&L's honest opinion defense, because that's the defense that A&L is going. It's an honest opinion that they gave. So Harry wants to penalize the press for having an opinion, just like we YouTubers get penalized, canceled, and censored for giving our opinions. So this is what Harry's been doing with all of us YouTubers, anybody who speaks out. Censorship. But the judge said A&L's honest opinions defense had a real prospect of success and should go forward to trial. So they are going to trial. And A&L is being allowed to present the honest opinion defense. His lawyers want to overturn a ruling that saw his security status downgraded after he stopped being a working royal, because Harry has security whenever he comes to the UK. He has security. There's security arrangements. The police is notified and they're on alert, and his security team, his private security team gets a phone number that they're in contact with, and they're being alerted by the police what's going on. But what he doesn't get is the royal protection convoy that he so desperately wants. Okay. Friday's judgment comes in the same week that the Duke made a separate High Court challenge against the Home Office over his security protection when visiting the UK. His lawyers want to overturn a ruling that saw his security status downgraded after he stopped being a working royal. The libel case centers on an article that, according to the judge, claimed the prince tried to mislead and confuse the public over that dispute with the government. The headline said the Duke had tried to keep the legal fight with the government over police bodyguards a secret, but that his PR machine tried to put a positive spin on the dispute after the story broke. The Duke has denied the suggestion that he only offered to pay for his security after starting legal proceedings in 2021, saying he had made an offer at a meeting in Sandringham that previous year. But I guess that the royal family was consulted, and they said, no, he didn't. He never said that. Because Harry's still counting that the royal family are going to keep covering for his ass and his lies. Let's see if that is true. We'll see that during trial. However, the Mail on Sunday say the Sandringham offer was not made to the government, and the Duke only made an offer to the government after he had started his claim for a judicial review. In his judgment on Friday, Mr. Justice Nicklin said the defendant A&L has a real prospect at trial of demonstrating that the Duke of Sussex had not made an offer to the government to pay for his security before he began his proceedings for judicial review. The publisher can use the honest opinion defense, which gives protection to individuals or organizations from being held liable for defamation in cases where statements are made as opinions rather than false statements of fact. A trial is expected to be held in 2024. I leave you with these 3 questions, and go buy the merch, guys. The link is at the bottom. Why is Harry being allowed to continue suing the UK newspapers and now even the government? Why is he being pandered to? Why is there no response from the monarchy in regards to the false statements for the false slandering accusations of racism? Why? Why is Harry being allowed to say, I didn't know, I didn't understand, they forced me out, the nasty queen kicked me out? Please leave me your thoughts.